Okay, it's unknown. Japanese, probably 1970s. Kind of a lawsuit base, but probably not. Maybe because of the head, you could call it that. The body isn't exactly like a P base, but this is what they would have made in the 70s as opposed to the 60s, where they weren't into copying anything. By the 70s, they started copying everything. And so I would imagine this is like early 70s. Don't know who made it, what brand it was. I would suspect it's probably Kawhi, maybe a Kingston. Don't know. There's no evidence of any branding up there. So it's probably one of those that had like the paper foil sticker on there, nothing substantial. Another trait of the 70s when they're cheapening things out. But this is a surprisingly well-made bass. Holds tune really well. It's got a big truss rod in there that's doing a really good job of stabilizing it. It is 31.5-inch scale. Odd, but just under 32. So it doesn't feel small. I mean, I love 32-inch basses, and I would have guessed this was 32. When I got it, of course, there was none of this. It came with this piece of pick guard with crappy old pots, which are long gone, and so then I replicated the shape up here on a new piece of plastic to match. Looks good. Probably originally it was black, I would imagine, and I don't know what the pickup arrangement was, but since there's no switches there, I would have guessed it was probably a one pickup bass with, you know, the controls. I put two pickups on there with 2 volumes, no tone control, 2 volumes, and you can blend them to a certain extent or just shut one off. Right, that's this one. That would be your typical P bass situation, and then this is one a little bit farther forward. It's going to be more mellow sounding, right? When they're played together, they're hum canceling. And they get a nice phasey, really nice sound. Kind of sweet. So I got, you know, I gave it the new 12-inch radius, new Jescar 47 104 frets. The neck's nice and straight now. It has the equivalent tuners, modern equivalent. They call those import tuners, I guess. They were pretty much exactly what would have been on it before. I left a 0 fret because 0 frets are like the best for perfect height adjustment, perfect setup. If you don't know what a 0 fret is, it's basically where the nut would be, only it's a little bit higher. It's not the same height as these frets. It's slightly higher so that you get the right setting, so that when you're really working on that string, it's not going to rattle. So that's typical on a nut. You want it to be just ever so slightly higher than the frets. And it saves a lot of time and grief. And the complaint in the guitar world is like, oh, when you're bending the strings, it'll move on that thing and slowly saw away at it. You're going to saw away at all your other frets at the same time. And if you really do wear out a 0 nut, it's like the easiest thing to replace. It's not even glued in. It's just pressed in, and you just pop it off and put another one in, and you're like right back to perfect again. So 0 frets are a great thing. They're a smart design. People look at them like, oh, they're cheap. No, that's good design. That is really good design. So my pickups are Type 13s single coils, which are voiced for a bass, which means I have a different recipe of magnet to wire. So if you were to take these and put them on your electric guitar, it would sound really harsh. The reason being that you want that harshness. It translates really well with a bass because you're not dealing with those higher frequencies that cause the shrillness of an electric guitar, but at the same time it's accentuating what is there to give you more of that bark. If it didn't have that, if you had a more mellow sounding pickup, it would just sound mushy, right? We don't want mushy. You want a little bit of character, you want to stand out, you want to bark a little bit. Now, the width of this is a little bit different than your typical Fender, which is a 19 millimeter spread, which means it's 19 millimeters between each string. This is more like 15 and a half, 16-inch spread. And in order to do that, to get away with that, and this is typical of all of these Japanese and import basses, that they're a little bit more narrow. You can't put a P bass bridge on there because the strings are going to be falling off the side. You can't get it on there and play it. What I've done is I'll go out and get a 6-string bridge and cut 2 of those things off, 2 of the saddles off, and that would bring it down to the narrowness, because a 6-string bass bridge is 16 millimeter, 15 and a half, 16 millimeter between the strings. It has to be, otherwise it'd be so wide you couldn't play it. Somebody could, but that's typical. 6 strings, more narrow strings, so chop off 2, which is easy enough to do and fits on there. And if you know, I'll show pictures underneath this cover of what it looks like. It looks like just any standard P-bass Fender style bridge. Intonates perfectly. The neck is a very normal C. It's all barked up. Somebody played it, and dropped it or whatever, knocked it around, things you do with these things. It reminds me of the very first bass I learned on, which was a Domino. And I think it was about the same scale, only the Domino had a big honking neck on it. And didn't sound as good. So, Kawhi Kingston, something unbranded, lovely 31.5-inch lawsuit sort of bass from Japan. It's ready to go, and it's a nice bass.